Monday Night Raw reunion. Tampa, Florida, July 22nd, 2019. The Big Dave's Wrestling Review. We're going to review tonight's Monday Night Raw, the Monday Night Raw reunion. So, did you miss me? I missed you guys. Had a good weekend. It was hot. Of course, it is getting towards the end of July, so of course the temperatures aren't going to be scorching right now in Kentucky. It's mostly the humidity that gets you the most here. It just gets hard to breathe. Got a cricket somewhere in the background. I think it's done now. Oh well. Shows like Monday Night Raw reunion. I go into each week of Monday Night Raw with the lowest of expectations, and somehow they still seem to make me disappointed. With tonight's show, I wanted to go into it with just knowing what I'm going to get, knowing that it's not going to be anything special. It's not going to be anything for storyline. It's not going to have any logic, any kind of psychology in the ring, things like that. I figured there would be really no storylines that were continued. But, of course, I wanted to go into it with just the open mind of saying, hey, don't expect anything. And open mind, just enjoy what it's going to be. The biggest reunion show ever on Monday Night Raw. A lot of the so-called legends that they had were mid-level, legends if at best. Some of them were but they saved the big names to the very, very end, which I guess is smart, because they want people to stick around for the whole show. A lot of the stuff they did with the 24/7 title tonight was basically revolved around the legends. And but the one thing that stood out to me mostly through all this show was, other than the Bray Wyatt segment, everything I kind of seen it coming. Even if I didn't see it coming, I saw it like right before it happened. I said, "Oh, this is about to happen," or "I see what they're about to do here. They should do this here," and then they do that. And when I say they should do this here, I don't mean as in this is good stuff. Like this is what they should be doing to make the show better, as much as I see what they should be doing this next, according to the rules of the WWE Monday Night Raw product that I've watched for so long now. I have gotten behind on my New Japan G1 Classic stuff, man. I've got to get to watching some of that. I mean, really, it's the only reason I even have the New Japan World subscription is for the G1 Classic, and of course, they're bigger pay-per-views, but I'll get to it. It's just a lot of wrestling to watch right now, man. A lot of stuff going on. News about Eric Bischoff and things like that come out this week. People, if you're not aware, Eric Bischoff was named accordingly the executive director of SmackDown Live. Well, everyone has been expecting him to take over. Some people thought he was going to take over right away. Other people said that it would be after Extreme Rules. Eric Bischoff actually came out on his podcast and said, from day one, the dirt sheets have reported this, move all wrong. There has been even people that have said that he will have zero input in the creative department, which, if you remember, at one point, I kind of mentioned that myself, thinking he was handpicked to basically be the filter between the Fox network and Vince McMahon. Those, of course, are alleged, allegations, things like that. But I guess last week he was not at SmackDown. Maybe he was, but he'd just gotten to move into Stamford, Connecticut. And basically, I'm thinking this is the first week. This Tuesday will be the first week that he's actually backstage for SmackDown Live taping, or I guess it's called a taping, even though it's live. So with Eric Bischoff, guys, again, I've never been this huge Eric Bischoff fan. I've never been this. I didn't hate Eric Bischoff by any means, but I just never really put much stock into his horse, and creatively, I believe he had a lot of help in WCW with some of the stuff that he was doing, but I used to just dog WCW because of their storylines and things like that, but you look at the product now, and I would, kill to have some of those storylines that they had in WCW on Raw, because those made a lot more sense, now than they did back then, or even closer to what I would want to see than what they're giving us now. So, like I said, guys, it's been a good, long week. I'm tired. I have my days off. I look forward to Monday Night Raw so I can not only watch it, but come back and give you guys my review and my input on that. Again, guys, you can follow us. I got my Facebook back activated, so thanks for all of you guys that shared the podcast on your social media outlets while that was down. It was a big, long process. Had to be on the phone with Yahoo, Facebook, everybody else, Gmail. It was just big, long, drawn-out deal, but I've got it fixed now. I'm back on my old original Facebook, so that's going to help me out. So you can follow me on my personal Facebook page, David Vaughn Lindsay. You can follow me there. I'm close to being capped out on friends, so I would assume within a couple weeks I won't be able to add people on there for friends, but you can still follow me. Instagram, DVL Music. You can also go to the Big Dave Club on Instagram and Facebook to keep up with me there. Of course, you can find the Big Dave Wrestling Review on, of course, the Anchor app, which is what I use to record and distribute my podcast. But you can go on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, just a lot of different, I don't even know all the outlets it's available on now, which is good. So just look up Big Dave's Wrestling Review. You can also go to YouTube. Big Dave's Wrestling Review on YouTube is the channel. When you get there, guys, make sure that you're hitting a like, subscribe to the network, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon. That way you will be alerted whenever I do share new videos. If you are listening on iTunes or Google Play or any outlet that you guys are listening to this on, make sure that you're either leaving a comment, leave me a rating, whatever you think. It doesn't matter. Also, you can go there, subscribe, and like the page so you know exactly when these things are dropping. There's also available outlets there on the Anchor app. I know for sure you can actually leave me a voicemail. If you leave me a voicemail, I will share it on the next show. You can also donate to the Big Dave Wrestling Review. And, for $1 a month, you can get a shout out on the show. And we'll be doing some exclusive prizes here shortly on that. Now, I did mention, or if you follow me, you saw a little trailer, a little teaser that I put up for The Adventures of Big Dave, a podcast series that I'm wanting to start, which is kind of a spinoff of Big Dave's Wrestling Review. And the main reason I'm doing it is I want to challenge myself more, but the main reasons I'm doing it is I have a lot of people that, want to support me in what I'm doing with the podcast, but they could care less about pro wrestling, like they just don't care about wrestling. So with this, what I wanted it to be and what I wanted to, if I, push for it, and I'm going to be honest with you, this first episode for the Big Dave, Adventures of Big Dave, I'm kind of toiling over it in my mind because, the wrestling podcast was easy to start that first episode because I basically, started it after a pay-per-view, a big pay-per-view. I know the product. I know wrestling. All I'm doing is just spouting out stuff that, is on my mind about a certain topic, which is, professional wrestling. The Big Dave Adventures, though, I wanted to somehow, possibly showcase the more of a comedic side of what I'm doing. And also tell stories of my friends and people that I've met throughout my life, and just kind of tell. I don't want to be that guy who's like, tell my story of how I got here. I mean, I'm not some big success story by any means, but just kind of chronicle what goes on day to day. I will cover certain things like in the past that have happened, tell stories, which is always fun and always good to do that. And but people have to understand something, and it's not anything. It's not anything directed towards anyone that listens to this podcast or anyone that may hear this podcast and think I'm directing it towards another individual. And then you go run off and tell them all Big Dave's talking about you on this podcast. This isn't what I'm doing. This is not what my statement is about here. But first off, a lot of those crazy adventures and stories in the past, I was pretty hammered drunk for a lot of that, and a lot of it is blurry, and it's hard to remember some of that stuff for me. I know, as you get older, things tend to, you tend to forget things, and as you get older, you tend to think stories played out differently than they really did, in your head. And that's a proven fact. That happens. And, it's hard for me to go back and tell some of these stories without getting into other things that, to be perfectly honest with you, some of my friends have successful careers. They're in the public eye. They, there's stories that I could tell about some of my friends that probably they may not want told out in the public, So I respect my privacy, and so I know other people do as well. There's certain subjects, there's certain topics that I will not talk about. Anyone who's followed my journey, and you probably can know what those topics are about. There's certain things I just will not discuss. I can discuss, there's certain people that a lot of people support, and there's certain artists in this little community. We're going to talk about the music now, not wrestling. That a lot of people support that I don't necessarily not support, but I'm not their biggest fan either. There's so there's things that happen in life that I don't want to bring up. I don't, and I guess I'm doing it right now, but I'm doing it on the wrestling show just so people, if they want to tune in, the people who are going to tune into the other show kind of give you an idea of what I'm trying to do. And, that's why it's so hard for me to come up with the very first episode, because I want to be a one-man deal. I want to do it on my own, and I don't care to have guests and do interviews, things like that. That's fine, but I just want it to be the way I want it to be on my end, and nobody can control that but me. And I've had multiple people message me about the Wrestling Review. As soon as I started it up, I've had people message me and say that they were interested in helping me do this, or they wanted me to join up with them and let's have a podcast together, or I'd like to be a guest on your podcast, or we should discuss this show, or you should do a segment like this or a program like this, which is all fine and dandy, I think, but it's hard for me to say no sometimes. And I'm a nice guy, So instead of saying no, I might say something like, yeah, we'll see. Or maybe we can do that, and I've had a lot of people want to join up with me, and honestly, right now I'm at a small little level, so I can't really add other people into the mix. I'm recording these shows sometimes 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm recording these episodes when I have the time, when I feel like sitting down and doing the show. So it's hard for me to match those schedules up because I have such a crazy schedule. So with this and the Big Dave, the Big Dave Wrestling Review will always be a staple, but the Adventures of Big Dave will be more of just like I said, I want it to be more of showcasing who I am, what I'm doing. I want to bring up the past, but I want it to be more about the present and what's coming up in the future. And so, if you guys follow me on this, be on the lookout for the Adventures of Big Dave, and it's going to be something different. And I really want y'all's input and give me ideas for what you want to hear. Again, like I said, I don't care to talk about my friends and how I met these people. I don't care to talk about the stories of going to these shows. I could tell you a story about a pretty well known person, and I made myself look like a complete idiot in front of these people. I felt like, what I'm saying, because I'm just an old, raised by an old redneck in Kentucky. I'm not anything special. And you get around some of these fancy folks, and you tend to say things and not realize, man, they look down on you a little bit. So there's stories that I just kind of want to stay away from because I'm all about staying positive on people's lives. I might destroy the product of WWE, but I'm not here to try to downgrade somebody or make them seem smaller than me in their actual day-to-day life, or what they do for a living. But anyway, so be on the lookout. The Adventures of Big Dave, it is coming. It will be out on every outlet, just like the Wrestling Review. And soon enough, it's just like I said, it's hard for me to come up with that first episode, what I want to do on that very, very first episode. Well, now that I have babbled on and rattled on about wrestling and adventures and Facebook problems and everything else, again, thank you so much. We are going to be right back after this quick commercial, and we're going to go right into the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw reunion, Tampa, Florida. Big Dave's Wrestling Review will be right back after this brief message.